The house at Glen Echo has two distinct sections. The main house, which was built in 1773, and then the extension that was built in the 1800s. It is December 4th of 2019. In the kitchen and in the living room, in the extension part, we have torn up the floors and we're preparing for plywood to cover the floor. Before we could build the new floors, of course, we had to tear out the old flooring. After we ripped out the old floor, we actually found where they were using tree stumps as support, where usually they use masonry or concrete pillars as floor support. There's a fireplace that heats two rooms back here, and after we tore up the old floor, we could see the base of that fireplace. And there are areas that are questionable, so we're still waiting to see if it can be restored. We also discovered at some point that this extension had been widened. The way we discovered this was when the floors were taken out, it uncovered this beam that runs the entire length of the house. And when it enters the kitchen, it cuts the kitchen in half. That was the support for the original exterior wall. And also when you look above, you can see this rafter here that had beams that used to run down to this beam, and they were cut off to widen this extension. It is further evidenced by this doorway that is framed in its original position. We also discovered this wall to my right was not part of the original extension. This was built when they widened the extension. There was not any support under this wall. They call that a floating wall. It was just sitting on the plywood part of the floor, and there were pieces of this tongue and groove, pieces of wood that were just underneath the wall like this. In these two rooms off of the kitchen, they are leveling the floor by jacking it up and also putting these 2x4s in that are cut to where the kitchen floor will flow smoothly into those two rooms. And then on top of those 2x4s, they're going to put plyboard and then the flooring. Before we did this, the floor sloped downwards. One thing I'm really excited about is removing the chain link fence that's in the yard at Glen Echo. This chain link fence surrounded the house and the buildings in the yard and the ones that are behind me too. And it's time to remove it. It's been damaged from tree limbs falling on it and just time. The fence was not really effective anyway. People would still break and enter the property through the fence by cutting the wire or climbing it or going through an area where a tree branch or a tree had fallen on it and crushed it. So we're getting all that cleaned up. And I am excited to get rid of it because I think the chain link fence is ugly and it's going to look so much better without it. And now behind me you can see straight through this part of the property without any visual obstructions like that chain link fence. One of the other really awesome discoveries that we have found at Glen Echo is this wheelbarrow that was underneath the corn crib. Here we are with a little bit closer look at that garage that has collapsed. We are working toward removing all of this. You can see now without the chain link fence, it's going to make it a lot easier to access these buildings for restoration.